Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Sachin Karnik here. Today is the 13th of May, 2025. I believe we are on week number 19 as of today. We're starting week number 19, year number 2. I want to welcome you all to Angel Wings Online Personal Transformation Program. In the current series, we are on the energy revitalization area. Remember the stages: energy activation and utilization, then energy equalization, energy conservation, energy revitalization, energy transmutation. So the current series will last until week number 26, and then after that we will go into energy transmutation for the following 13 weeks, and then many other subjects after that, but one step at a time. So again, just as a quick reminder, as a quick recap, the concept of transformation is what our aim needs to be. Transformation, the best analogy is of the caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. The butterfly does not become a caterpillar again. In fact, it is incapable of going back to the caterpillar kind of life. And that is what we're looking for. We want to reach self-mastery. We want to reach the highest levels of inner consciousness. You can call it spiritual consciousness or personal excellence or any language you want, self-actualization, anything that suits you. But it's all about reaching and maintaining a balanced state across 12 dimensions, and then going from there. It's like a space shuttle that has to be balanced on the platform absolutely perfectly with all the booster rockets and, just like that, just like the NASA shuttle. And then it can take off into orbit. It's like that, so reaching self-mastery happens when we reach sustained balance. That's our goal this year. And then we can take off into self-mastery. Small analogy there. All right, so today, I just want to talk from another aspect here on the physiological mechanisms that are involved with regards to energy revitalization, and so many related ideas. We know that the word physiology means function of the body. Please, let's be very clear about the terminology. All right, so the terminology should be very, very clear. The terminology is such that the word physiology means function, means the function of the body, the brain, etc. And the word anatomy means the structure. Right? So structure and function go together. And when we are talking about energy flow is physiology. It is physiology of the body, physiology of the brain, the activity of the mind. All of that is part of physiology. So, several points to keep in mind. Conservation slows down metabolic and neurological expenditure. Conservation of energy, which is what we talked about in the last series, what does it do? It slows down metabolic expenditure because we're always using power. The food that we're eating is being broken up through a series of biochemical reactions, and energy is released from the food that we eat. So metabolism is anabolism and catabolism, right? So the metabolism that's occurring in all the cells of the body releases energy. And of course, there's the utilization of energy, which is metabolic energy, metabolic expenditure. So when we conserve consciously, deliberately, our mental power, our speech power, our thinking power, the TEMDE, hopefully you have that really memorized by now. The energy in thoughts, energy in emotions, energy in memories, energy in desire, and energy that is flowing just within itself, within various ways. Right? So the energy that is enlivening the other four, the TEMD, are enlivened by energy. Now, where does energy come from? That's a spiritual and religious question. You can say that is God's energy or God-given energy or super consciousness or whatever. That's another whole different discussion. We'll talk about that on Thursday evenings. I don't want to get into that here. right? So the point, a couple of points if you're taking notes in your workbook 1, workbook 2, that conservation slows down metabolic and neurological expenditure. 2 points, metabolic expenditure, to slow it down. Slow it down meaning to stop its unnecessary use. And neurological expenditure, the utilization of energy by the brain. The brain is using a lot of energy. They say 20% or more of the total energy used in the body is used by the brain. So revitalization happens, or revitalization is when energy comes back again into a more conserved state, and then it gains a new vitality. It gains a new domain, as I've explained it several times now at this point. What does it do? It triggers the parasympathetic recovery process. So there's neurological research behind all these concepts. Our parasympathetic system becomes more active, becomes much more stable, it becomes healthier. So both conservation and revitalization involve autonomic nervous system regulation. The regulation, our brain, spinal cord, nerves, they function better once we get into the conservation revitalization modality. Right? I hope the concepts are very clear by now. You can listen to the previous recordings if they're not. I'm trying to move a little bit further ahead rather than repeating stuff that I've covered before. Right? So hopefully the concepts are very clear. Now remember, sleep quality serves both conservation and revitalization functions. And this is a question we need to ask ourselves at this stage. What is the quality of my sleep? That's a direct barometer. In my opinion, it is a direct barometer of our overall balance state. If sleep is disturbed, there's nightmares, there's problems, there's difficulties, there's something wrong in the physiology of the body, or there is too much activity in the mind. Again, this is another massive subject. We're going to cover a whole module or many modules on that in the future, and some supplementary materials, because it's huge, the question of sleep. But for our day-to-day purposes, we go to sleep every day. But are we in a state of sleep where there is steadiness within sleep? And that's a tough question to answer. Sometimes we're not aware of what's going on there. So if the sleep time, nighttime, is peaceful, it is harmonious, it is steady, it is integrated, then there is a slowdown of metabolic and neurological expenditure. Otherwise, think of it this way. How much energy is used to generate the dream world? From our brain. Tremendous amount of energy. And can that be changed? Yes, why not? Again, this goes back to, we'll talk about this for the next 15 minutes or so. This goes back to the TEMDE and then the other 6, the quality, quantity, dimension, depth, structure. Hopefully you've written that down. So sleep also has all 6 components. Sleep also has the TEMDE. When we say sleep, we're awake now, the TEMDE are active. Thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy. It's right on your hand. Thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy. They're active, obviously, in some form or other. But when we go to sleep at nighttime, there's a transition into the REM sleep. And that's called rapid eye movement. So there's REM sleep and there's non-REM sleep. And you can see that on the EEG machines. So the REM sleep is very much like the waking state. The brain pattern is nearly identical, if not identical. The difference is that the brain is cutting off that experience from the body, so the body doesn't act out that experience. Right? For most people, unless there's a disorder of some sort. So the mind is generating, the brain is generating the dream world. So thoughts are involved in that, emotions, memories, tremendous amount of memories are involved. And not only that, our desires are what are called vasanas in the Vedanta tradition, our internal demand, our internal desires are active in that. And all of that is happening. The TEMD is enlivened by a tremendous amount of internal power. It's right inside of us. So this personal transformation program is 100% reality based. It's not hypothetical pie in the sky stuff, and it's not like that at all. We do talk about theories, but we're talking about real life, real experience, what's actually going on. And we need to be aware of it, see it head on, and then go through this 5-step process. And in these steps 3 and 4, conservation and revitalization, keep attention on that. That's where we began this year. We began with the first 13 weeks was around conservation. That energy is to be conserved. It is not to be wasted, just like money. But if you're earning money, working at a job or business or whatever, you save money. Well, why do we save money? Because for security. We want security. That's why we save money. And I use the money example because it's easy to understand. I'm not trying to make this about money or anything like that. So don't misunderstand it that way, please. It's just raw power. It's buying power, right? So similarly, this raw power now gets accumulated inside. And that accumulation, conservation and accumulation is going to allow for the quality of the nighttime experience to change. All 6 are changed: the quality, quantity, direction, dimension, depth, structure. I'll briefly mention it here. Again, this is another 26-week module or a whole. Just to talk about this point, we would need a whole year to really go into it in depth. So I'm going to make supplementary recordings because we don't have 4 or 5 hours on Tuesday. But it would require that much time. It would require 30, 40 hours for me to explain, based on all the research and how all the exercises, how to stabilize the dream state completely. But that's a very advanced subject that will go into the 3rd and 4th year into self-mastery domain. And we cannot even master 5 minutes when we're awake. Where's the question of mastering something in the dream state? We're not even conscious of what's going on. It's happening by itself. But what we can do is to keep attention on what we're doing while we're awake. Yes, we can do that. Definitely we can do that. So let's talk about that now. While we're awake, what is the quality of the experience I want? We've been talking about this before. Are we applying it, all of us? Hour at a time? 1 hour at a time? Next hour, what is the quality of the experience? What experience am I looking for? What is the right experience for me? Where is my mind going? Mind is going to go into its old conditioned pattern. That's where it's going to go. It doesn't know anything else. It keeps binding itself because of the conditioned pattern. It keeps going in the same old patterns, because that's all it knows due to its memories. That's okay. I mean, memories are there. We can consciously change that. I don't have to necessarily function based on my conditioned patterns. I can function despite that in a different way if I want. Well, how do I go about it? By deciding the experiences I want in the next hour at a time. All right, we talked about that many times. It's a matter of doing it. If you do it, you find out what it means. And in doing so, energy gets conserved, actually. And in doing so, the quality of the waking experience changes. The better the quality of the waking experience, gradually, in time, the quality of the dream experience will also change. Now, dreams, to some extent, maybe to a large extent, are just projections from the mind, but they can also be connections to other states, other realities. Some mystical aspects are there too. It's possible that people have religious dreams, people have mystical experiences. All kinds of things can happen at nighttime. We don't think that, I'm just going to sleep now and that's it, just forget about everything. Well, it's not like that. It's to be very still and steady at nighttime. We talk about meditating and, to be in a meditative and awakened state and all that during the daytime. Nighttime is a chaos for most people. Most of humanity is imprisoned badly inside the REM sleep. Sachin's humble interpretation on this one: REM sleep for most people is a jail. It's a prison. The quality is not good for most people. In fact, the state itself is like Is it really necessary? The neurologist would say, yeah, you have to dream, otherwise you'll go crazy. Because you're already crazy. There's no question of going crazy. That's why you're dreaming so much. There's so much chaos we're generating. Your mind has to deal with that. That's why there's so much dreaming. What would happen if the daytime experience is absolutely steady? Conservation, revitalization are in complete harmony with each other. Utilization, conservation, revitalization, all this thing is going on fantastically. There is steadiness, there is clarity, there is the mind, brain, body balance. What do you think will happen at nighttime? How much dreaming will there be? It's interesting. You're living really in the present, just hypothetical for now. How much dreaming do you think there would be? Would it be reduced substantially? We could hypothesize that yes. Sachin's hypothesis is yes, there is research on it, but it's not that much research. Most of humanity has never gotten even to that stage. So when we reach that stage of real balance in the waking time, and it is just a fantastic daytime experience, harmonious, clear, non-contradictory, non-conflictual, then when we are ready to lie down on our bed, maybe after having done some prayers or some meditations or whatever, we are ready to enter into a new domain. It's extraordinary. It's a preparation. The entire daytime experience is a sacred preparation to make the nighttime experience sacred. Can we do it? Yes. Why not? First, understand the concept. And remember, everyone's life is their own. Everyone's, the 12 dimensions are their own. Everyone's life is unique. But the concept is the same. The concept doesn't change. So I can decide that once I get into a revitalized state, my physiology, my neurology, the physiology of the body is going to be much, much better. It's going to be healthier. Another technical language for that is physiological homeostasis. Then I would also say psychological homeostasis and psychophysical homeostasis. Homeostasis means balance. It means to stay within a healthy range. That's a concept. In physiology, if you open up any anatomy physiology book, that's like the first or second thing that they teach you in there. Because the whole body functions based on that principle. And the more we are away from homeostatic function, the more trouble there is. That's where all the diseases, disorders, what are they? They are deviations from homeostasis. So, to decide, to make a firm conviction and a decision using the intensity of energy that is available to us, that I am in a state of revitalization. I'm in a state of vitality. I'm very, very, very strong from inside. That strength from inside comes about. And from that, the day flows. Because all we have is the day. All we have is the hour, the minute, the moment. The day, the hour, the minute, the moment. That's all. That's life. That's all life is. And in that, the most extraordinary possibilities exist. Once we recognize that we have a great treasure inside of us, that is the treasure of energy. And if we are damaging it, throwing it away, like in this confabulated REM sleep, it is just wasting phenomenal amount of energy, that REM sleep. Maybe the REM sleep can be reduced. It's called yoga nidra, or the REM sleep quality changes. But it doesn't happen just like that. This requires significant inner development. And that significant inner development means that the flow that is happening minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, it is happening in the best way possible. And why not? Why shouldn't we make our life as best as we can make it? Why shouldn't we? What's stopping us from doing so? Our own contradictions from inside. Our feelings are taking us in one direction. Desires are taking us another direction. These 5 are not integrated, the TEMDE. They need to come into a total integration. And how do we bring it into total integration? These 5 principles. And energy revitalization, we're focusing on that right now. That the revitalization means that it has been activated, comes back inside, and it gains a new strength. And lots of examples. But this is, so the hour-to-hour flow of our life can be in a modality of dynamic revitalization. It certainly can be. But I have to be aware, right? Sachin has to be aware. Is my mind dragging me down into some negative thinking, into some negative feeling, into boredom, into we are not okay with ourselves. If we are by ourselves, some people cannot handle being by themselves. They don't lose their mind. If they're like by themselves for 1 day or 2 days, no family members around, nobody's around, they say, my God, I cannot stand this. I cannot go to a restaurant even by myself. I have to have somebody with me. I don't like to eat alone. Right? Things like this. We don't know the art. We don't have that tenacity to be in one's own natural self-luminous self state. We don't even know what that is. There's so much dependency all the time. This person has to be with me. This thing has to be there. These things have to be there. Then I'm okay. There's so much conditional happiness. Recognize this. So this week, these are the assignments to work on this week. Recognize, where are my conditional states? I'm putting conditions on my happiness. Recognize that. Recognize, where is my self-luminosity, my own natural joy? Recognize how I can make the nighttime better. I make the nighttime better because my physiology is better. Doesn't matter about age, any age. It could be a 5-year-old kid or a 95-year-old senior citizen. Doesn't make any difference. And everybody else in between. We can always make our life better. And it's not a question of time even. It's a question of realization. Sachin is speaking. I can speak about it. That's okay. Is it realized? All right. So now I hope these points are clear. And I want to go back to the slide. And again, this is all application. It's all application. Right? So sleep serves to conserve and revitalize. It's conservation and revitalization. Both are. You need good quality sleep. But it is such a different, subtle domain that to even gain purview in that, any level of purview, one has to clean up the waking time. Cleaning up the waking time will eventually clean up the dream time. But the dream time cannot be cleaned up or stabilized until the waking time is cleaned up, harmonious, and consistently harmonious and purified. If the waking state is not purified, the dream state can never be purified. All right, so these are some initial points. I love to talk about this subject, but it's we will just not be able to move ahead then if we just talk only about that. We'll do a special retreat on that sometime. Right, now one more point: balanced hormonal release, cortisol, melatonin, etc. So many hormones. The pituitary gland is the master controller of all these hormones. Right, so it will balance out the flow that it'll all happen automatically once we are in this modality. These are physiological mechanisms. Now let's go to the next slide here. Okay, so this is a whole section on this. Again, these are just basics, ideas about metabolism and neurological activity. Basically, as I mentioned, it's restorative, it's understandable. Parasympathetic stuff is good. Autonomic system is also going to work. There's your word homeostasis right there. There, sleep and conservation, revitalization. This is some of the physiology behind that. All right, easy to understand. Okay, then hormonal regulation. So what does this all link with? Well, if you look at the emotional dimension, conservation reduces emotional volatility and reactivity. 2 points here are absolutely essential for all of us. The TEMDE, thoughts, emotions. Our emotions can be volatile and reactive. This week, our goal in this year is to reach a state of sustained balance. Well, how are we going to do that? Recognize emotional volatility. Volatility is what? Shifting. Volatile emotion, shifting. Right? So what do we do with that volatility? Take the energy out of it. Well, how do you do that? Well, how do you take energy out of volatility and reactivity? Let's talk about that for a moment. We know that emotions flow fast. But to take energy out of a particular emotion means to recognize the experience of the emotion and to recognize directly that the energy is going in a concentrated way in that emotion. To recognize that and to mentally, through breathing, through meditation, through prayer, through the Bible, through walking, through exercising, in any which way, pull energy out of it. Pull it out of the volatility. For example, let's say, for example, I'm having a conversation with someone, or I'm thinking about something, and my emotions start going in some different directions. Like I start getting worried, tense, upset, this, that. So hold on. I have to recognize these emotions. They don't serve me. I need to, rebalance it out, and be very steady. So I want to be steady. Steadiness is not dullness. So if you're taking notes, write this down. You can listen to the recording later also. Steadiness is not dullness. So I can decide that I want to be very steady in the next hour, in my conversation. Because I value it. If I don't value it, I won't be steady. Why should I? Steadiness, stillness, peacefulness, very harmonious, very calm mind. Calm mind, steady mind, peaceful mind is not a dull mind. It is not a dull person. It is a very dynamic person, but is functioning through the stillness dynamically. And that is revitalization. To function through stillness is possible once we are in a revitalized modality. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Again, it's all a matter of realizing this and trying this. This is where meditation, spiritual practices, mantras, religious studies, these things are extremely useful. Why have religions survived for so long? This is one of the reasons why. Whether God exists or not, you can debate that. But the fact is that it can help in the steadiness, the purification, stillness, and unburdening. The burdens we carry, to drop them through prayer, by letting go, things like that. You can do that in the relational connection with God, with higher power. Yes. And you can do it with friends, with family. That's why all of those are necessary. All right, so the art of pulling energy out, let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's see how do we do that. It's recognizing the state of emotion. Emotions change. Even just by having a meal, our experience changes. Our experiences are constantly changing. But what is that experience? What's my emotional state? Is it volatile? Are my emotions being volatile? Or volatility is going on? Or is it being reactive to life circumstances? And by my being reactive, how is that helping me? How is it even helping anybody else by just being reactive and whatnot? Rather than being proactive, being very calm and taking things just one step at a time. Recognizing, keeping a broader vision. Whole life is temporary. It's here one day, gone the next. This life is a great blessing for us. It's temporary. It is for some period of time. And that realization sets our destination further. Because when time is limited in life, why should we waste time, energy at all? we are then going to jump into that state, grab hold of time and energy, and say that I will not waste it, I will not abuse it, not at all, misuse it. None of that is going to happen. What's going to happen instead is I'm going to conserve it, revitalize it, utilize it in the best possible way. And by doing so, my experience of an hour at a time is the best that it can be. Because I'm at my best. Whether others are or not, that is on them. As long as I am at my best, then that is taking me towards self-luminosity. Self-luminosity is not ego. Self-luminosity is a state of development where internal power is flowing consistently without it being damaged. And hence it is in a revitalized modality. So we want to get into that revitalized modality, that after one experience, another experience we look forward to throughout the day. And we're looking forward to it with steadiness, with joy, with respect, with grace. Not with, oh my God, now what am I going to do now? I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. All that thing can subside. It doesn't subside right away. Most people say, well, what do you mean? How does it subside? It subsides by applying these ideas. Start from year one, right from the beginning. You'll see how it subsides. It's application. It's application. If I want my experience hour at a time, because that's my life, if I want that to be the best quality experience, why should I allow anybody on the outside, or even my mind on the inside as such, to contaminate my natural joy? Why? Why should I? So you decide, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let anybody on the outside, not even memories, not anything on the outside, disturb the natural joy that I am, natural steadiness that I am, natural connection with God that I may have if you're a religious person. Why should you allow anybody to disturb that? And how does it help them? It doesn't help anybody outside. It doesn't help us. So emotional reactivity, emotional volatility does not promote revitalization. And our emotions are very fast. And once we are in a certain emotional space, we are just in that. We feel that's me. But it's not me. It is an experience I'm having temporarily. And if I identify with it, I will dump energy into that, or suck energy out of good places and do all kinds of things and remain in that volatile, disturbed, reactive state. I don't want that. It's what we don't want. We talked about this before. Decide, what do I not want in my life? People always are thinking, okay, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this, I want this. Take some time and say, what do I not want? I don't want volatility. I don't want reactivity. I don't want any kind of waste. I want the best quality experience. Not only do I want it, it's going to be. We're going to make it so. Make the experience you want. If I say I want to have the next hour really excellent quality, I have to think a little bit and see how to do that. What should I be watching? What should I be reading? Who should I be talking to? What should I be eating? Whatever it is. Or am I just going to revert back to that dullness, that sadness, because we find comfort in that. We find comfort in those states that are actually problematic. That is the conundrum of the mental world. We find comfort in things that do not serve us, and in fact in states of mind that are really just that are just useless for us. But we are comfortable in that because we're used to that. Some people are so used to that, we don't know that we can do something different from that. So they said, going back to default mode. Dr. Chaitanya has talked a lot about that in her recordings. Going back to our default mode. Just go back to the default old pattern mode again and just revert back to that because we find some comfort in that. That's why. But that comfort isn't taking us further in life. That's not comfort even, really. That is a form of degradation. If I'm eating comfort food, just junk food, more and more and more junk food, because it's giving me just a little bit of stimulation, giving me an escape, is that helping at all? No. It's not a real comfort. It's just a fabrication. It's the art of living consciously, deliberately, masterfully, taking the help of the higher power. If you believe in that, or if you don't, if some people don't believe in God or higher power, then believe in your own energy and take and resort to that. And that's okay. Start with that. It's the art of extraordinary aloneness. It's the art of self-luminous aloneness. It is the art of being for the sake of being. And that we can, if you want to call that enlightenment, that's okay. I mean, we use a lot of words here. But it is an art. It is the art of masterfully utilizing our thoughts and emotions and utilizing them in the best way as tools. Thoughts are tools. And then in doing so, the experiential dimension becomes absolutely fantastic for us. That is what we're looking for. So again, the emotional balance and resiliency, this is all a matter of experience. Revitalization restores emotional balance and resilience. Now, what does that mean actually? I mean, what is emotional balance? Emotions to be balanced means all the emotions that are good for us, they intersect together. All the emotions that are bad for us, they are mindfully left alone, not fought with, not hated or anything like that. They are, through wisdom and knowledge and awareness, they are left alone. Like, for example, if I have a tendency to become very angry or very worryful or very upset, then it's a realization that this is to be left alone. That's not going to go to help anyone. It's not going to help me. It's not going to make my life better. It's going to damage me, in fact. Right? So resiliency is bouncing back again and again bouncing back. That is emotional resiliency. You see, so when we say mindfulness or mindful awareness bridges the gap between all of these processes, between, this volatility and reactivity into emotional balance and resiliency. Right? Now, there's another point here. It's the most fascinating one. That is called conscious rest. Just a moment here. Let me do the screen share again here. Let's see if we can find that real quick. It's called conscious rest. Very interesting. Well, what is that? Let's go back here for a moment. Conscious rest. Conscious rest enables emotional processing. That's what we were talking about. How do we make the dream state better? By conscious rest. During the daytime, take 30-second, 1 minute conscious rest breaks by taking deep breaths in. Always taking steady breaths in and out. Using a mantra, using a prayer if you want, using a candle if you want, or just using an image if you want on your phone. Or you can do it a lot of ways. That is called conscious rest. We don't rest consciously. We rest in frustration. Most human beings. But when we rest consciously, our emotions are processed better. Because emotion is a process. It is the processing of it, the processing of them is much, much healthier. It's called emotional regulation. And when we do all of this together, our emotional intelligence awakens. Emotional, meaning emotion and intelligence marry together. They bridge together most beautifully. Right? And that's the point. That this conservation is so important because it is going to prevent chronic amygdala activation. The brain is significantly affected by these deliberate actions we can perform. We have so much capacity to change our life, but we don't realize that. And then we also don't realize what we're doing to our brain. You see, so in this positive sense, conservation reduces emotional volatility and reactivity by limiting overexposure to emotional stressors. This practice prevents chronic amygdala activation and promotes greater emotional stability. Yes, the brain is definitely impacted. So breathing techniques, nature immersion. So these are all homework exercises. Nature immersion is fantastic. It's that art of self-luminous aloneness. You can write that down if you're taking notes. The art of self-luminous aloneness. Aloneness is not loneliness. Aloneness is an extraordinary state. By yourself. You can be with others and you can be alone. You can be with others and be lonely. You can be with yourself and be lonely, and be with yourself and be alone. Aloneness is a natural luminous state. And nature immersion is fantastic. Everyone should do it. There's no reason not to do that, particularly when the weather is good outside. Immerse in nature. Go into nature. Go on to walks. Go into parks. Be natural. Listen to devotional songs. Listen to some beautiful things that you want to listen to. But not always plugged in. Just, take the nature in. Deep breaths in and out. Sit by yourself on a park bench for a good hour without any technology. Turn the phone off. Can we do it? Even to sit for 10 minutes is not easy, but you can. Sit just to be with yourself. Breaths in and out. How beautiful. Compassionate reflection. What is that? We reflect with so much disturbance. This happened and that happened, and worry and tension and fear and this and that. That's not the way to reflect on life. Compassionate reflection. Compassion for all, compassion for oneself. And when we reflect this way, naturally our balance is restored. The goal that we have this year, sustained balance, emotions have to be balanced. They can be balanced. Have to be, meaning that I can make it so by using all of these techniques. And lots of techniques are there. Breathing techniques there's thousands of them. Breath holding techniques, alternate nostril breathing techniques, so many are there. Square breathing, etc. So recovering from stress is necessary, but what's better than that? Not even accumulating any stress. You don't have to worry about recovering from stress if we're not even in that state at all, where no stress is being accumulated. Frictionless action, frictionless emotions, frictionless thoughts, frictionlessness, inner friction dissolves. We want that. Set that as a destination. Of course, changes are always happening. Keep retuning. Retuning again and again and again. In the moment, keep retuning into that ideal state. And by doing so, we can eventually reach self-mastery. But it's not going to happen just like that. It's going to take its time. It's a day at a time. It's an hour at a time. It's a minute at a time. It's a thought at a time. It's an emotional wave at a time. So this is how revitalization works. This integrative bridge idea is a fascinating one. We want to bridge into the state that we want. It's an integration, mindful awareness. All that simply means is we're aware of where our mental world is going. We're aware of it. We can change its direction, use it in the best possible way. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Conscious rest. Journaling, meditations, deep breathing. Again, this is a homework exercise. Conscious rest. So I could be sitting in my chair, and if I can decide for the next 3 minutes, I'm going to rest consciously. Rest my body, rest my mind, release all the tension from my body. This is called conscious rest technique. But to do it consistently, regularly, the more we do it, the natural state we will have of a restful state, even though we're active. You see? And then, of course, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, our empathy, our quantum qualities, effective communication, all the good things that we want to see happen, they're going to happen. For some of us already, this has already happened. All these things Sachin is talking about, maybe you've already experienced it. If you're experiencing this state, stay in it. Just don't come out of it. And that'll open the door into self-mastery eventually. Don't come out of it. And so there's so much beauty in taking this path. Okay, now there's a lot more stuff that we can talk about. We'll talk about mental and cognitive synergy next time. What I do want to do here, I want to go ahead here into our quantum quality for today. Just a moment here. Yes, our quantum quality, quantum principle, number 19. Wait a minute, where did that go? There we go. Is mental energy and intellectual strength. Well, what is this principle? All that simply means is to recognize that our mind has a lot of power, and we can sustain focus, we can engage in cognitive tasks, we can use cognition creatively. It's our inherent power, cognitive power, to do the things that we want to do, decision making, analytical problem solving. We have that power as a tool. We can use it the way we want to use it when it is necessary to be used. Right? That's what this simply means. Why is it a quantum quality? Why is this, this mental energy and intellectual strength? Because our strength, the intellect, if it becomes strong, is good for us. It's not just the intellect. All five, TEMDE, all five need to be strong. But the quantum quality of intellectual strength is a good one. So we learn new material, we learn new perspectives, keep growing, keep developing. That keeps our mind very fresh. Every time we learn something new, our brain develops further. Right? So energy grows, energy glows, and energy functions in the intellect as needed. It makes the intellect strong. Knowledge is power. Wisdom is power, not egotistical power. Our mind becomes strong. That's why we have so many angel wing programs. This is one of the reasons why. Of course, mental energy and emotional strength. That's also one of the quantum qualities. But mental energy and intellectual strength means to use the intellect for our own development, to keep it fresh, keep it growing, keep it glowing, keep it brimming, keep it open. These are all qualities. So the quantum principle comes into our life once we grow the intellect, once we allow the intellect to glow with interconnected knowledge and wisdom, and we allow the intellect we allow the flow of the best quality energy within it. So it doesn't become dull, it becomes sharp, it becomes strong. It doesn't mean one is just a bookworm or something, just all intellect. No, that's not what it means. Intellect will become strong. If the intellect becomes strong, the emotions will also become strong. The memories will also become much more coherent. Desires will reach non-contradiction. Work on any of them, TEMD, or E directly, in any of them, the others will become strong. That is the master. If you work directly on energy meaning the energy inside the mind, where is it going, and keeping it in the harmonious, integrated directly, all of them will stabilize right away. They'll stabilize and remain stable. But you can also work on just intellect. It's fine. Or just emotion. That's just fine. And it will also eventually stabilize all of them. You can approach it any way you want. It's a quantum principle because it's a quantum jump. It's a jump from a bound state, a confused, mixed, imbalanced state, into a very balanced, harmonious state. It's a quantum jump, eventually into self-mastery. It's a quality. It's a quantum principle. It's a quantum quality. The quality is to enliven the intellect with the highest quality of energy, keeping every single domain of life, area of life, very much in harmony, where core energy doesn't damage itself or any part of life. And it strengthens. Everyone can be a lifelong learner. Always be a student. We have many people in our program of that caliber who are doing that. That's excellent. Never lose that. Don't get away from that quality. That quality is going to make our health better, our mind better, our relationships better. Our tolerance and broader vision will come out of that. That's the whole ball game. Our speech becomes better. It becomes softer. It becomes more compassionate. The more one grows in wisdom, the more one uses language carefully. The language has meaning behind it. Language has weight behind it. And I'm not saying one needs to be spewing off aphorisms and philosophical ideas to just randomly to everybody. I don't mean it that way. It's for us, and then as needed, and according to context, you would change as you decide how to use language. But language would not harm anybody. It would not harm ourselves even, because language has a lot of power. And so the way we use words, in which way are we using them, with what feeling are we using them, towards whom are we using them, that has a lot of impact in our inner world. Right? So these are fantastic ideas. There's a lot of slides here, and I'll make this all available to you. And with that, let's do our closing song. And we have our homework exercises, standing homework exercises. Where is energy going? Pretty straightforward stuff. I mentioned a couple of them today in this recording. You can listen to that again, hopefully, if you've written some of those down. But the main homework exercise is very simple. Just don't damage the next hour. Go 1 hour at a time. Just do that. If you and I do that, we all do this together, before you know it, self-mastery will be there. You don't have to wait until next year for self-mastery. It could happen within the next few days only. It's not a matter of, I've just set the program that way because we have to have a sequence of steps to follow for the world population. But self-mastery is available really whenever we want it. If we really want it, if Sachin really wants that, and is not bringing other contradictions inside, then I can reach it. Why not? It will happen eventually. It will happen rather nicely and rather maybe much faster than I may have thought. Right? So these are some thoughts here. Always use money wisely, the vitamin M concept. We've talked about that before also. Let's do the closing song, then we'll open it up.